People assume I live in Russia because I married a Russian woman, or because I hate my home country, or maybe because I got lost and just forgot to leave. But the real reason? It's not what you think.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I...
Well, let's knock out the stereotypes first. Yes, I married a Russian woman, but that's why I came to Russia. That's not why I stayed. We could have just done the paperwork and moved back to the U.S., green card and all. Then the theory, I no longer could bring myself to live and raise my family in a culture of LGBT propaganda, and where trans people were hiding behind every bush and under every rock. They're just waiting to pounce on me and my unsuspecting family. Well, it seems that many of the latest wave of Russian seekers do state this as their reason. And Russia even has a new visa, which makes this a valid reason to come to Russia to live. And this new visa is really nice. It avoids some of the bureaucratic hurdles that were present before. But in terms of a reason, for me, no. These issues were not even issues or headlines back when I came in 2001. And as for family, all of my sons were either in or had already graduated from universities. So I wasn't overly worried about them changing their lifestyles in these ways. For Westerners who did flee because they felt their country was becoming very immoral, especially in terms of gender roles and gender confusion, I'm just a little curious now how some of them feel. Speaking specifically about those who came from the United States, and in particular I'm speaking because of Donald Trump being in office, since January 20th of this year. And from day one of his second term, he's been kicking butt on these issues. Firstly, by executive orders concerning there just being two sexes in America, removing boys in particular from girls' sports, protecting children from these gender propagandas, including making any physical or pharmaceutical treatments of minors illegal. Not just executive orders, which can be overturned by any subsequent president, but winning cases in the U.S. Supreme Court to change these things, and also having Congress codify these into law. Executive orders, Supreme Court rulings, laws being passed to restore some sanity. It's been a whirlwind few months. Turns out a lot can change or unchange in just one election cycle. If you came from Europe or Canada, well, maybe it wasn't such a rash decision. Some of those places still seem to be speeding down the wrong highway with no brakes. Another common one I hear, you were running from something. Nope, I didn't flee. I wasn't in legal trouble. I wasn't bankrupt. I loved America when I left, and I still do. Yes, I'm a patriot. And contrary to popular belief, you can love two countries. I love what America stands for, and I love what America gave me growing up. And I also love what I've built here in Russia. What I don't love is when foreigners, especially YouTubers, come here and they trash their home countries, just trying to flatter Russians and get subscribers to their channels. That's cheap. Now, I'm not sure of the logic because I don't think that way. Trashing your own country while singing only praises concerning Russia may get you some clicks these days. But Russians aren't stupid. They see through that. They wonder if it'll be Russia you'll be trashing in a year or two. Let me tell you a quick true story, something happened to me. About 10 years ago, I boarded an overnight train ride and ended up sharing a coupe with 3 younger men. They were wearing suits, serious expressions, not businessmen, more likely FSB. And this also wasn't unusual. I mean, they also need to get from point A to point B. And just recently at that point, the Russian government had upgraded their travel from third class to second class, which is where we were at the time, in a coupe. When they first entered the coupe, they said hello to me in Russian, to which I responded appropriately in accented Russian. Well, they asked me where I was from. I said America. Then one of them wanted to finger wrestle me. So when I say finger wrestle, I don't mean this, thumbs going back and forth. I mean, you would put your pinky fingers together and you would pull and pull. You would both pull until one of you gave up. Well, I felt like my pinky finger was going to get ripped out by its roots. And I would have let it rather than lose this international competition. And these guys, they're a lot younger than me. And they're in better shape. Well, actually, that match ended in a draw. And I'll tell you, that finger hurt me for months. After the competition, then came the questions. Now, they weren't grilling me. It was just honest curiosity they were expressing. I can tell the difference. One of them asked how I felt about Obama. Because remember, this is about 10 years ago. I said I hated his policies. Not because of race, but because I thought he was a Marxist who was damaging the U.S. So the guy looks at me and asks, in Russian, of course, so you don't like America anymore? I replied, I love America. I hate what Obama is doing to America. Suddenly, one of them hands me a beer. We clinked bottles and toasted both countries. If I'd answered differently, I doubt that toast would have happened. So why did I stay? Well, it wasn't borscht and it wasn't propaganda. Then what was it? There's something about the pace of life here. Less rush, less distraction, fewer financial pressures. In the U.S., you've got 2 car payments, big insurance premiums. Everyone's working overtime to afford it all. Here, well, we had a used car, or a Lada, Devyatka, and mostly we relied on public transportation. Eating out was rare. And actually, it still is for many Russians, and it certainly was even rarer back in the 2000s. What surprised me most was the human connection. In America, I had friends, good ones, but we barely saw each other. Everyone was working like mad just to stay afloat. In Russia, people seemed to make more time for each other. There was more depth, more presence, more intentionality, even when vodka was involved. The culture and values also played a role. To me, Russia in the early 2000s felt like the U.S. in the 1950s. And I say this with the highest regard. I mean, strong family ties, close relationships, a deep sense of loyalty. And now, I'm not saying Russians are saints. I've seen plenty of dishonesty here too much. But I was drawn to how much value was placed on personal relationships and how people leaned on each other during hard times. Now, it's funny. I've seen comments before in my videos which say that I came to Russia because I couldn't make it in America. Well, I really have to laugh when I read such a statement. I mean, survival in America is actually very easy. And that's why 3 million illegal, uneducated immigrants sneak into the USA every year. They know that if they can just make it there, the stupid Americans will give them welfare and all that they need, and they never have to work. There's not that same reputation here in Russia, not at all. I've lived in both countries. I've worked in both countries. And I found that you have to be twice as smart and 3 times as ambitious here in Russia to improve your lot in life. In America, 3 million new people per year are improving their lives dramatically just by breathing. I do feel good that I no longer have to support them with the taxes I pay. Now, Russia didn't make life easier, but it made life more real to me. This wasn't a sabbatical. This was resistance training. I found meaning in the struggle, in navigating the language, the systems, the winters. I was forced to adapt, to problem solve, to grow. It also rewired my thinking about stuff. Even my way of speaking changed. I became more direct, more blunt, less beat around the bush. Some would say more Russian. Honestly, I like it. Living in another culture rewires you, sometimes subtly, sometimes completely. Here's the truth. I didn't come to Russia looking for some spiritual transformation, but it found me anyway. I didn't plan to stay. I didn't know I needed to stay. But over time, Russia gave me things I didn't know I was missing. A strong marriage, 2 wonderful daughters, friendships I treasure, jobs I enjoyed, and a deep sense of belonging, even though I was an outsider. Like some kind of a McDonald's franchise, I was building a new, strong branch in my family tree. Honestly, I'm glad I had the courage to do so. I like to think I helped build a Russian-American household, something new and strong, rooted in 2 great cultures that, let's be honest here, both think that they are the best in the world and that they have the most to offer to the world. So, not bad. This wasn't about running away. It was about stepping into something new, something challenging, something that changed me for the better. If you've ever ended up living a life you didn't plan, but you wouldn't trade it for the world, I'd love to hear your story in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Until next time, Paka.